Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
Live from New York, it's the show that's already in mid-season form. It's First Things First. I'm Danny Parkins alongside Coach Mangini and Willie Colon. Willie, it's that time of year. You a bigger fan of the hold in or the hold out?
Oh, I'm a bigger fan of the holdout. Yeah.
Don't show up.
Remember the days of T.O. and doing the sit-ups in the driveway? That was must-see TV. I don't forget about that.
It was great content.
Yeah.
It really
We need more of that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't like either.
Can you imagine streaming that?
Shocking.
Didn't like either one.
Can you imagine streaming that? You know how big that would be for TV?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of views and a lot of money.
Money.
Bosses, I'm going to be holding it. On today's show, Lamar says he's not paying attention to player rankings, but we'll discuss the pressure that he's under with this new offense. Also, we got back-to-back Coach of the Year and the national champ, Curt Cignetti, joining us live from Big Ten Media Day. Very excited to talk to Coach. And finally, Joe Burrow says they got all the pieces to make a run this year. Coach, you think he's just talking offense, or did he remember the defensive side of the ball?
I think he's primarily focusing on the offense, I'm guessing.
Historically?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
They spent a lot of money on defense.
Yeah, not enough.
Not enough. Top 5 in free agent spending. All right. Well, we will start in Tampa Bay, where the Bucs, speaking of not spending enough, have decided not to give Baker Mayfield an extension before the start of the upcoming season. Instead, their quarterback will play out the final year and then become a free agent. Well, as you can imagine, Baker not thrilled, but also not shy. Take a listen.
That's really the disappointing part, to feel undervalued after, thinking you've earned it. This is not a poor me thing. There's a lot of other people that have it way worse off, but I can sit here and look at other quarterbacks and peers and evaluate myself based on that and put myself in certain categories that I deserve to be compensated for that. And I think I'm a franchise quarterback. I've been told I'm a franchise quarterback. It's been said publicly from ownership down here. And so to not have a deal done is very disappointing. It's all ball, and I don't want to talk about it. And if you've waited this long to take care of your franchise quarterback, that's too bad, because it's only going to get worse from here. I'm going to have a really good year.
Watch that whole thing. It was spicy. Will, when you hear Baker there, what's your reaction?
Well, listen, I can understand why Baker feels he deserves a blank check, right? You win multiple divisions. You kind of stabilize the organization, especially when Brady left. But if you're the Bucs right now, I can understand why they're kind of at bay. They're pausing right now with instead of handing out bags of money, because you got to understand, like, Baker at this point, Valley, he's won. He's done all the things he's supposed to do. This is a team that's been good in a bad division. So if you're from an organization standpoint, like, listen, I don't know how real it is. I don't know how real we are. And if you look at the roster, I don't know how good we really are. Now, if you're starting to see things turn around, the Panthers are better. The Falcons are better. Things are starting bubbling up. And right now, you finish the season 8-9, and you couldn't get over the hump despite how fast you started. So I understand why Jason Light, the GM of the Bucs, and the Glazers are saying, we love you, but we got to rebuild this thing, because I don't know if we're a contender right now. And if we hand you this bag of money and we say you're our guy for the next 5 years, that don't mean we're going to be able to be in contention of winning a Super Bowl. So I think they're doing the right thing. And I hate to be in Baker's pockets, but I'm just putting on my owner's hat for a second.
Yeah, I think Baker makes a lot of really valid points. When you are told you're the franchise quarterback and it's said by ownership, it's said by leadership, then you expect to be compensated as a franchise quarterback. And I'm sure he looks at a lot of guys and he can put himself in that bucket of guys making $50 million a year and say, hey, I belong at least in this threshold. So I totally get that aspect of it. I think where Tampa Bay is coming from is from a salary cap perspective, they don't have a lot of room to work. So they're 27th in salary cap space. They had to restructure deals just to get under the cap, to get to that point. They've only got $8.5 million in salary cap space right now, and they're very top heavy. So their top 5 guys, plus the dead money that they have, is about 50% of their total cap. So the top 5 guys' salary cap value plus dead money is 50% of the cap. There's not a lot of wiggle room to do those things. Now, and I know you shake your head because it's not a zero-sum game in the NFL. You just can throw as much money at anybody as you want.
Well, and you can give him a higher bonus and lower a cap number for this year and put it off into the future in terms of a cash payment.
There are things you can do, but this is not a team that's working with a lot of flexibility. And from a coaching standpoint, Baker Mayfield with a chip on his shoulder is the exact Baker Mayfield you want. And him saying, I'm going to be really good and it's going to cost a lot more money, sign me up. Let's pay him a lot of money next year and him be really, really good this year.
Well, they have the franchise tag for next year, but to your point about some of the dead money, Baker in that whole press conference was thinking that he doesn't think that they'll be able to issue him the franchise tag because of some of the bills that they have coming forward. And he also mentioned that Tristan Wirfs needed to do a hold in, and he's a guy who had been all-pro at left tackle and right tackle. And Mike Evans is no longer there. Like Tampa does Vita Vea right now. I know he's got the back injury, but he's also requested a trade. They haven't paid him yet. They tend to be a little slower on the draw with paying their own guys, and Baker was disgruntled. I will just say, I loved what he said. I love that he stood up for him. He said, I addressed the team. I'm not going to let it be a distraction. It's going to be all ball. The guys who have been here know what I'm about. The guys who haven't been here, I wanted them to know what it's all about. And he could say all the right things, and I believe that he can have a big year. But Baker's had a chip on his shoulder for a long time. Whether he's planting that flag in college, whether he's doing the Tommy DeVito thing. Like, Baker Mayfield is going to have a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game and then do a show me the money celebration here. Like, he is going to be motivated by this all year. And I still believe that when Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Tua, all of those guys have gotten paid, and Baker's like, I'm 1 year removed from 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns, he feels like he's in that class of player. Like, he is not wrong by that. So, and if they wait a year, they're negotiating off of a $50 million floor because that's what the franchise tag is going to be.
He's absolutely not wrong, but he also has led the NFL in turnovers over the period that he's been in Tampa Bay. And in addition to that, organizationally, those guys that you named, how many of them have gone on to live up to the new contract that they have? Now, there's been some positives from each of those guys you talked about, but how many of them where they've paid them and then suddenly they've achieved at that level?
Yeah, and then also on top of that, there's durability concerns. Baker was banged up last year, and I think that's part of some of his frustrations. I played through injuries. I did everything you asked me to stabilize the offense. Yeah, we didn't get into the playoffs and we didn't win the division, but I fought through some of the things. Baker's old enough, he's on the other side of 30 now. So if you're going to hand him this money and say you're going to be our guy, we're going to build around you, I don't know if that's a smart business decision. And considering that you right now don't have a number one receiver, right? Like, he couldn't make it work with Mike Evans. So now you have to reconstruct this thing and figure out, to the coach's point, like, man, we're not as good as we think we are. And if we plan to be where we need to be in the future, he's going to need more help if we sign him.
Interesting. So, I mean, I know Falcons fans were not a huge fan of Zach Robinson, how it went there. But, I mean, Zach Robinson has a pretty long track record in the NFL, worked under McVay for 5 years. He comes over from Atlanta.
Yeah.
You have Tristan Wirfs. You have Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving's coming off a foot injury. That's another guy dealing with injuries.
Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah.
Like, I expect Baker to have a pretty big statistical year. Like, I don't know if he's going to have 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns like he had in 2024, but I bet he's somewhere between that and last year. So if he's over 4,000 yards, if he's over 4,000 yards and around 30 touchdowns, I would imagine that that's enough to get Baker Mayfield paid.
What does your numbers mean if you can't win?
But like you said, he's won the division a couple of times in the NFC South. I think if
but
Baker
he won the division when the division is bad. The division is no longer bad. The division's on its way up. Like, the Panthers are a legit team. The Falcons will be better next year. Like, so, yeah, it's easy to look at what he's done and say, man, he was killing it this far. You know, post Brady, he carried the organization. But you look at the Panthers and all these other teams, like, I believe the Saints will be better. So you're talking about 3 teams right now whose rosters are getting better year by year with positive quarterback play. Now you got to look at your own house and say, man, I don't know if we we can keep up or if we're even on par after the way they performed last season.
And when you have a salary cap that's structured where 5 guys equate to 50% of your cap, it's hard to build depth. It's hard to as young players come up and they're going to get their second contract. It's hard to re-up those guys. You got to let guys leave. And these financial decisions, the more money you pump into Vita Vea or Baker Mayfield is the less money that
Facts.
you have available to other people. And Baker has the highest cap number on the team, and Vita Vea has the 5th highest cap number on the team. So it's not like they're not making any money or they're dramatically underpaid. But again, that's part of negotiations. It's all a matter of opinion. They feel they are. The organization feels.
So this is a weird, more of like a podcast or sports radio type of question. But like 2 years from now, Baker Mayfield, the quarterback of the Bucs? No. So you think they are going in the direction of a reset?
I do, 100%.
Interesting.
I think after this year,
disagree.
I think they step back, they evaluate the coaching situation. I think they reevaluate the quarterback situation. I think they look at the roster and say, hey, where are we? Because I honestly believe this team had won 10, maybe 13 games, these guys are signed. They're moving forward. They're going into whatever they have to go. I don't even think this is an issue. The fact that they did finish 8 and 9, they didn't make the playoffs, and they're looking at Vita Vea, who's 31 years old, dealing with a back. Baker with possibly durability issues. Bucky Irvin dealing with some issues. Like some of their core guys, they're trending on the other side because of their injuries, right? Like they're falling in line with what the 49ers are dealing with. They have a core, but the core is always banged up. So how good are we if these guys aren't available?
And to Willie's point, if you look at that division, you're saying, okay, during these years where the division wasn't as competitive as some of the other NFL divisions, where it takes everything possible just to get out of your own group of teams you're competing with, how good are we going to be when the division does consistently improve? And to your point, Danny, there's not a lot of great quarterbacks in the NFL. You could argue there's not a lot of really good quarterbacks in the NFL either.
Isn't Baker clearly the best quarterback in the NFC South by like a comfortable margin? Like you can like Tyler Shough and you can be a believer in Bryce Young.
Big believer.
Big believer. Check out some digital content coming your way soon. Bryce Young getting some shout-outs from Willie. But Baker Mayfield is much more accomplished than Bryce Young, Tyler Shough, Michael Penix, and
he has the bigger resume. He's been here forever. We've watched Baker's journey, so we're a fan of his. But when you talk about right now in the division, I will have to say I'm a fan of Bryce Young.
Here's the one argument I'd make strongly for Baker is Cleveland really wishes they hadn't moved on from Baker. That if you want to look at it from an organizational standpoint, you only have to go look at that organization and the problems that they've had since they've had Baker, and now
that's part of his chip on the show. He's currently Deshaun Watson's currently making more money than him. You know? So I can understand why.
But I'm saying if you look at organizational decisions, do you have a guy? Do you not have a guy? Cleveland probably would have been in the mix every single year with a guy of Baker's quality.
They would have been thrilled
during that time period and the defenses they've had.
Yes.
Where they went a different route trying to hit a home run and ended up striking out.
Yeah. I'll take you up on that bet. We'll pay it off 2 years from now on opening day. Baker Mayfield's still a quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He'll be a Steeler.
This is like an insider move here. You want to create discontent in Tampa, and then you're going to be like, I'm thrilled that he's a Steeler. I see what
I didn't say I didn't like him. I just understand what the organization's doing.
That's 4D chess. All right, let's go to Hollywood, where day by day I'm realizing that me and Jim Harbaugh, we just have more and more in common. We both love the Bears, a freshly pressed pair of khakis, and of course Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? Take a listen to Coach Harbaugh.
I used to give adjectives to it, but it's
glazing, like you said. You like the glazing word.
Yeah, I just think he's the best there ever was. That's really what I learned this past. Every time you think he's reached the top rung of my esteem. He finds another rung on the ladder to take. So, yeah, love him. I'd follow him to hell and back. Oh. He's the best.
That might even be a little much for me. The best there ever was? I don't know. Coach, I know you praise your quarterback. It's a coach's job to defend your quarterback publicly. Harbaugh takes it to an art form. Too much, too little, just right in terms of the praise?
Well, look, I spent 2 years with Jim, and when Jim says things, he's not saying things to be theatrical. He believes the things that he says. And if
he believes Justin Herbert's the best there ever was?
I think if Jim says it, he believes it. And with Jim being a former quarterback, having the success that he's had in college and in pro football, for him to say those things, that's got to be great for a guy like Justin Herbert. Who doesn't want to hear that your employer feels that strongly about you, has that much belief in you? And the other thing that does from a coaching standpoint is when he does have to criticize him, or coaching, but some guys will take that as criticism. When he does have to push him, Justin knows that this isn't a guy that's doing it, for the sake of doing. He knows that he's trying to make him better. And I believe that helps the relationship significantly.
Yeah, I think the issue with Herbert for me, and I know you're a fan and obviously coaches, it's the gap between his talent and his playoff resume is too large. And that's the bottom line. But I understand why you drool over the man. Optically, he's a superhero. But when you watch the tape last year, I mean, the man played with a fractured hand, and his offensive line was in shambles, and he carried that offense. And obviously, he got beat up in the playoffs by a very hungry Texans team. But it was Texas, right? Was that right? Yeah. So it's I understand that, but I think right now when you move forward, man, this year more than ever he has to have it. Like he has to have the win. He has to have those signature games and that playoff where you say, man, like he's obviously top 5, did a lot. And I don't think he's been able to do that because of all the other things structurally around him, just hasn't lived up to it. So yeah, I can understand why you love him, but he still has to win when it counts.
Yeah, I think everything you said is fair, even as a defender of him. Like, obviously, a playoff win would be nice. Much less a couple, much less an MVP, much less a Super Bowl. Like, he's got all of the accomplishments out in front of him. But football is the ultimate team game, and sometimes the guys make fun of me for talking about the eye test. I try to be the person who knows the numbers, but also watches the games. And I just watch that guy, and I'm like, there aren't 5 more talented quarterbacks in the world. Like, just pure talent, which is why I would think, back to your point, he has to be a coach's dream, because it's like he can do everything. He can make every throw. He's mobile enough. His teammates universally sing his praises as a leader, and he's tough as all hell. So, I would think that they're like, well, we're getting our all-world's left tackle back, our all-world's right tackle back. We signed a couple of free agent interior offensive linemen. We gave them a blocking tight end.
Drafted 4 offensive linemen.
Drafted a couple of offensive linemen. We signed a fullback, so we're just putting blockers all over the place. We're bringing in Mike McDaniel, and now we're going to have guys who can protect him to keep him healthy, and he'll go out there and perform.
And over the course of his career, there's been criticism of the head coaches that he's had, and the idea that they were the limiting factor. Well, that's not a criticism anymore. Jim's taken a team to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
He's won a national championship in college football. So you take that out of the equation. So all the pieces are in place. We can agree. But if we're sitting here next year and talking about another, maybe missing the playoffs, or even worse, if they miss the playoffs completely, at what point does it become the talent just is not meeting the expectations?
Well, that's why this year shouldn't be the case, because you do have Mike McDaniel, right? And they've glorified how much they've kind of changed his game with getting the ball out faster, working on his footwork, timing and rhythm within the offense that's set now. So I think, to be honest, with everything we just said, we're running out of excuses for Justin Herbert. Seriously, you got, like you just said, we got blockers. You got a new OC. You got a defense. Dog, we love it.
You got a head coach. You got a head coach in the NFL and college.
We're running out of excuses to pick out for Justin Herbert, because nobody gets that type of runway in the league.
I agree, but what you guys are talking about, he's got to do it. I look at him like I look at Josh Allen in terms of the talent is there.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Josh Allen has more playoff wins and has played better in way more playoff games, so I'm not saying their playoff resume is comparable. But in terms of talent, it's I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that Justin Herbert is good enough to get it done. So I look at it as more of an inevitability as opposed to something that I would doubt.
And for years and years, I watched Matthew Stafford play and couldn't figure out why that organization didn't get over the top with as good as he was. And then he finally was able to get over the top when he moved and things fit together. And now we talk about him in a totally different light. But he was really, really good for a long, long time.
It's a great comp.
And they just It's rare, though, because typically elite franchise quarterbacks elevate everybody around them and change organizations. It's not, hey, he needs this, he needs this, he needs this. That's not how the conversation usually is.
Let's go to Baltimore and talk about another elite franchise quarterback, two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Well, he just won 6 and 7, but it was limited action last year, 13 games, but he was playing through a lot of injuries. The Ravens got rid of Jim's brother John this offseason, brought in a new head coach and OC. So that means it's a new offense for Lamar, which it hasn't been for a while. Here he is on the adjustment.
Absolutely, because each and every year you're getting older, your mind is getting sharper. Everything is slowing down even more. It's like you done seen everything. You know, anything a defense can bring at you. The only thing different now is just the new offense. So once I get that down pack, I feel like there's no room for error with us. Keep stacking.
All right, Coach. I think everything he said there makes total sense. There's obviously an adjustment with the new system, but how much pressure do you view Lamar specifically being under this year?
It's a huge amount of pressure. And it's a huge amount of pressure because organizationally and from an ownership perspective, they said that the limiting factor was Harbaugh.
Yep.
That they had to make a coaching change, and that's what was keeping them from realizing their potential of a guy who's won 2 MVPs and really could have won a third. So there's that component to it. Last year, there were multiple times where you could look at the interaction, you could look at the things that were being said and say, these two guys don't seem like they're on the same page or seeing things in the same way. And even when he was let go, when John was let go, you didn't hear a lot of praise
don't go, Coach.
and the things that you might typically hear from two people that have been together for a long time. So it seems like that relationship wasn't as solid as you'd hope it to be. So you've got that component of it. Now you're in a division where 3 out of the 4 teams have changed head coaches. That's a positive. You changed it, but 2 other teams have changed as well. The only continuity is in Cincinnati, so that's a real edge. So, yeah, they've made a decision. You have won. What are you going to do with this change?
Yeah, it's funny because I go back to week 1 against Buffalo last year and how we looked at that Ravens team and like, man, they look dangerous, right? And then at the end of that game, they kind of fumbled the bag and they unraveled due to injuries. And I'm saying if it happens again, what now? You know what I mean? Like, there's a legit chance that Lamar can get dinged up. There's a legit chance that Derrick Henry may still go through his fumbling woes and Mark Henry's not dependable. They won't have Isaiah Likely. Zay Flowers will now be put in a slot. They still don't have a true number 1 in my eyes on the outside. So there's still holes within this offense, but it's like, how does this team recover from the what if? It can't solely collapse because all these other pieces fall apart, because I assume the roster's too good for everything kind of bottom out. And you're looking in a division right now that, Steelers will be better with Mike McCarthy. I'm just going to jump out there. I know I'm a homer, but I'm going to say it. I think the Bengals will be damn good. So, like, if you're the Ravens, man, you have to be tougher and more inept to get over the hump and be more durable than what you showed over this past year.
I think the pressure on Lamar is also literally to carry the offense, because Derrick Henry is in his mid-30s. Yep. Now, he's one of the most marvelous athletes of his generation, right? It's crazy, him and Adrian Peterson, like defying father time. But at some point, he's not going to be 1,500 yards and 300 carries, right? At some point, that's happening. Yeah. If it happens in the year where you lose Isaiah Likely and you lost Tyler Linderbaum, and I agree with you on Zay Flowers, nice player, but not a number 1. He catches the ball and runs backwards. He's undersized. Yeah. He can't do everything that you want from a number 1. You're counting a lot on a rookie on the offensive line. Like, first-time head coach. Lamar needs to be spectacular. Good thing he is. When he's in his prime, he can carry an offense like Josh Allen can carry an offense when everything isn't right around him. So I expect Lamar to be excellent this year.
Well, one of my biggest concerns is as they keep talking about the new offense. It's great. It's great that there's going to be new ideas brought into it, and he's going to be exposed to some new approaches. But he won the MVP twice. He almost won it a third time. You better do a whole lot of what he does well, and you better, whatever your offensive system is, it better start and end with what does Lamar want to do, what does Lamar do well, and regardless of how much you may like a play or you can incorporate all that stuff, but you better maximize him as opposed to saying, I'm going to impose my scheme on you.
I also think that there's such a high floor for an offense with Lamar Jackson, assuming he is healthy.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this a lot. I'll probably be a broken record on it as we approach prediction week in week 1. I thought what Jesse Minter did with the Chargers' talent and all the injuries they had on defense over the couple of years, like he just overachieved. And then all of a sudden, it's like he gets Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton and Matt Ibukwe and Wiggins and all of the talent on Baltimore's defense with a coach who has not had that level of talent but has overachieved with the talent he's had. I think Baltimore could be a top 5 defense in the NFL. So, like, if you give Lamar Jackson a top 5 defense in the NFL, even if he doesn't have a perfect offense around him, he should be able to win a lot of games.
Look what Robert Saleh did with the Niners last year. I mean, he had a duct tape defense. He had them boys playing at a high level. So I agree with you. He could get it to happen, but it's about buy-in, too.
And also, Robert Saleh, when he was a head coach, the defense wasn't quite the same because you're torn in so many different directions.
Yeah, no, it's a first-time head coach, so another reason why there's pressure on Lamar Jackson. I was trying to find the team that people are sleeping on. If I gave you a 14-win team that was in the AFC title game last year. Denver Broncos coming up. First things first.
Nice dance, Willie.
I like it, Willie. Got moves. Back here on First Things First, talking a little Denver Broncos. They quietly went 14-3 last season, won the AFC West, came up one game short of the Super Bowl. I don't know how quiet it was. Sean Payton thinks, though, this is just the beginning. Take a listen.
Certainly, this is a team that understands or has expectations of playing in the postseason, and yet there's still that journey that starts again. I think you have to be able to get good quarterback play. I think you have to be good in the offense and defensive line, and I think you have to be well coached, and I think we're all the above.
Sean Payton thinks they're well coached. Take a look at the odds to win the AFC West. Gotcha, Coach. Defending champs, they're third in their own division behind the Chiefs and the Chargers. This is a fascinating one to me. Willie, do you think people are sleeping on the Broncos?
I don't know if they're sleeping. Listen, they're being respected because they're a playoff team. I don't think they're being feared as a team that can win a Super Bowl. And that's the problem. I think when you win 14 games and you look at what happened last season, I'm going to be honest, they go into that AFC Championship game against the Pats, I thought they had the better roster. I don't even think it mattered if Bo Nix was playing or not. I assumed Broncos was going to win that game, especially being at home.
I thought it mattered.
Well, I just thought.
I thought if Bo Nix played, they would have won.
Well, part of my reason is because I felt like they were winning games because of that defense. It wasn't because of Bo Nix. So I assumed the defense was in par, that they won't show up against the Pats and do work, and that didn't happen. So I was like, okay, Bo Nix has never been that guy for them. So not that he was bad. I don't want to just kind of, talk down on him. But I just felt like the defense was the spearhead like most of the playoff teams out there. With all that said, I think for the turning point for this team is they have to now win because of Bo Nix. That's going to make me a believer as a team that can win a Super Bowl. If it's because of him and his play and what he's able to do at the line of scrimmage and deliver, then I can say, yeah, this is a team that can seriously win a Super Bowl. Right now, I think the Chargers are in their way, right? I think the Chiefs are going to be hungry. I think the Raiders are going to be way more competitive. So as much as I do believe they can win games, it's about his game and him elevating his game under Sean Payton.
Yeah, and I think those odds that we see are really just purely quarterback odds. So when you look at that Kansas City first, right, so you're looking at Patrick Mahomes with the assumption that last year was an aberration, the team's going to be, Andy will be able to get things back in line, and they're going to be what they were for the previous 3 years, which were either in the Super Bowl winning it or in that mix. So that's the first assumption is Patrick Mahomes. We talked about Justin Herbert, we talked about the Chargers, and the idea that all those injuries last year, his hand, all the things that they went through as a team. But the idea is Justin Herbert, with his talent level, he's the second best quarterback. Bo Nix is third, and then whether it's Kirk Cousins or Mendoza in Las Vegas, they're the fourth. And with Bo Nix, to his credit, he did a lot of really impressive things. And if we could just bring this graphic up, a few of these things I didn't even realize. The first one is 24 career wins in his first 2 years. That's tied for the most of any quarterback ever. Which was Russell Wilson, is who he's tied with. And then game-winning drives last year. There were 7 game-winning drives, which was the most in the NFL. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. And to me, that defines quarterbacks, is how can they play in those big moments. And then 12-3 in one-score games. Granted, the defense was a big part of that, but he was a big part of that as well. I'm not saying this is Drew Brees, but for 2 years as a young guy with a very demanding offensive head coach, he's done an outstanding job.
I think we are clearly sleeping on the Broncos, but I'm not ready to pick them over the Chiefs and the Chargers. Like, it's a great division. I think two things can be true here. Like, the Broncos are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and I think that their roster is better than the Chiefs' roster, and the Chiefs are the favorite. But the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and you can be better 2 through 53, but if you're that much better at 1, I think it's totally reasonable to believe that 1 is going to carry you. And so the Broncos, it was a weird season because I remember them playing down to the Giants. I remember them playing down to the Raiders and needing like miracle fourth quarter wins against terrible teams. It's like, why aren't you playing better in this spot? You could look at that as, hey, they figured out how to win. I would say they had 11 one-score wins in the regular season, 8 of them against non-playoff teams. It's like that. You should be bludgeoning teams like that. But you returned basically everything and added Jalen Waddle. Like, Troy looked this up for me. They returned all of their passing yards, all of their rushing yards, all but 21 of their receiving yards, and 58.5 of 68 sacks from last year. Now, Franklin Myers is a huge departure on the defensive line, but that's a really talented team with a great offensive line that returns basically everybody.
But how many times have we looked at good teams who play down to their competition and lose?
Well, I think they're banking on it. To DP's point, I think they're banking on their continuity, right? I think that chip on the shoulder that we love to highlight is the fact that they've been close enough at some point under Sean Payton and a Bo Nix who's clearly older and should be more savvy, that we look at this team and start taking them serious, along with the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills. Like, this is a team that can really be hoisting the Lombardi. And once again, I think it comes down to Bo Nix elevating his play like Patrick Mahomes has done and what Justin Herbert has to do if we want to say, they have a shot at it.
Jalen Waddle, underrated addition this offseason. Happened before the draft. You kind of forgotten about it. All of a sudden, Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle. It's a pretty good
Ingram.
It's a pretty good wide receiver duo. Let's go to Cincinnati. They have a better wide receiver duo. Joe Burrow, all systems go after missing half of last year with that turf toe injury. Now he's got a revamped defense and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on offense. So he thinks they have what it takes to make a deep run. Take a listen to Joe Burrow.
We had a great offseason on paper, but now we have to go and put all these pieces together and have individual improvement, have cohesive improvement, and find out who we are as a team and gel. We have all the pieces that we need, and we just have to make sure that we're pushing each other each and every day to grow and improve and get better, and we'll get to where we want to get to.
All right, Willie, I'll start with you here.
Yeah.
We know the offense is good when healthy.
Obviously.
Right, there's a huge proof of concept of that. Do they have enough on defense to actually be a contender? Joe Burrow says all the pieces they need. Previously in the offseason, he said this is the most talented roster he's had since he's been there.
Yeah.
They got enough to contend?
No.
Okay.
They don't, and that's fair. I mean, is it an improvement from what we've seen? Of course, because the floor was so low. But nevertheless, up front, we forget the impact Trey Henderson had, right? Trey Hendricks, I'm saying that right?
Trey Hendrickson.
Thank you. This guy, prior to last year, I mean, he was a guy who was a double-digit sack guy, right? And right now, what you look at, if we got the graphic, they got Jonathan Allen, they got Dexter Lawrence, they got Boye Mafe. This is their career sacks. Now, Boye Mafe had 9 sacks last season. He's not a 10, 12 sack guy, but they want him to be. The reason I highlight that is when you throw out Trey Henderson, he was a closer, like a Chris Jones and like some of these elite pals, like a Michael Parsons. When there's 5 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter, you let these guys off the leash and they go hunt. They don't have that right now on the defensive line. So when you talk about an elite defense that has to complement an elite offense, you're going to need closers on the defensive side. I don't see it. So I think when Joe's talking, he's talking about his side of the ball, which is fair. But defensively, they got a very average linebacker core, and the secondary still needs work.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a graphic in a second. There's so much made about the trade and what a great trade that was. But
the Dexter Lawrence trade.
Yeah, the Dexter Lawrence trade. So you give up the 10th pick in the draft to get Dexter Lawrence. You let Trey Hendrickson walk for nothing. So now you take a great player and you let him leave.
In division, by the way.
In the division, and then you trade for a guy and give up the 10th pick in the draft. Look at the production side by side. So 109 games versus 117, 81 sacks versus 30.5, the tackles for loss, the forced fumbles. But to me, it's the business decision of He walks for nothing. You give up the 10th overall pick to go get a guy who's extremely talented, is going to be very good, and you pay him more money. I just don't know how that makes good business sense.
Probably doesn't make good business sense. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is younger. He obviously plays inside. Hendrickson plays more outside. Dexter Lawrence is one of the most double-teamed defensive linemen in the NFL consistently over the last 5 years, so he attracts a lot of attention in that way. I think Dexter Lawrence is a great player. They did give up a ton to get him, though, to your point. Let me make the case for how the Bengals can be contenders. And yes, I skew towards offense, coach, and scoring points. But if you are elite on one side of the ball, you don't have to be elite on both sides of the ball, like historically. We were looking up, I asked Troy to say, all right, show me the teams that have won the Super Bowl with top 3 offenses. Because the Bengals can be a top 3 offense. So this is the last 20 years. Got their offensive rank and their defense rank. Obviously, last year's Seahawks team was spectacular because they were top 3 in both. You look at that 16 Patriots team, top 3 in both. But can this Bengals team be the 22 Chiefs, the 09 Saints, or the 06 Colts? A team that was a top 3 offense but was 16th in defense, 20th in defense, 23rd in defense. And I hear you on losing Trey Hendrickson, but what they did this offseason was they did invest on the defensive side of the ball. You showed the names, and I think you can make an argument that Hendrickson is better than those other guys, but they were 4th in the NFL in free agent spending on defense and traded for Dexter Lawrence. Like they added multiple bodies. They lost Trey Hendrickson, but Allen and Boye Mafe and Lawrence, like 3 guys instead of 1, it is an upgrade just in terms of the depth that they needed. So I guess my question is...
And they drafted a DN last year in the first round. They drafted a DN
he
this
just
year
got hurt
in the second round.
But I guess my question is, can the Bengals be the 20th best defense in football?
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they're the 20th best defense in football. And you're now making the assumption that they're going to be the first-ranked offense in football.
But they have to be. Like it's the inverse of what the Steelers were, right? Like the Steelers were such a huge disappointment last year because they spent the most money on the defensive side of the ball and they were merely a okay defense. Mm-hmm. If you spend like the Bengals have spent on offense, you have to be. There's no path to the Bengals being a contender without them being a top 5 offense. So yeah, absolutely, I am assuming that. Like the path to the Bengals contending is we are one of the best offenses in football, and we are average to slightly below average on defense. Like that's their path.
Am I wrong in saying didn't we kind of see that last year? I mean, defensively they were horrible.
They were horrible.
They were bad.
They were horrible, and they were hurt. So they were not always a top 3 offense, right? Like when Joe Burrow got hurt, it was game over. I look at it very similarly to Dallas. Like Dallas is basically saying, we're going to be the best offense in football, and maybe we will be the 20th best defense. And if we give up 24, 25 points per game, and win 12, 13 football games with how good if you have the best offense in football.
And in fairness to Cincinnati, they have gone out and tried to address it in multiple ways defensively. For me personally, I can't getting over that hump of letting a superstar go, getting another superstar in, but giving up the 10th pick in the draft, who you could have for 5 years, like that part made me.
Well, I think part of
the process is totally fine, but like at the end, you can get to a destination, but there was turbulence along the way. It wasn't a smooth flight, but you got there.
Turbulence, or you fell off a cliff. Or
Fair enough.
Well, I think part of their mindset is if we can at least stop the run, that's half the battle, right? They couldn't do nothing on defense last season, so I think they addressed the run by getting Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen. The secondary is not going to be good. Linebacker core is going to be average, so you at least have enough to become mediocre. The goal is, like with the offense, to your point, will the elite offense carry a mediocre defense and let's say, hey, we're a different ball club? It could happen.
Yeah, and to me, like that's their path. There are the Rams have a more margin for error. The Seahawks clearly have more margin for error. Like teams like that are, I mean, the Ravens in theory have more margin for error.
Those numbers that you showed, that was yards, that wasn't scoring defense, right?
That was scoring defense.
Oh, that was scoring defense?
Scoring defense, yeah. And listen, there's a million. You could do it DVOA, you could do it yards, you could do it points. We did it with points.
Scoring.
But that's the path. You can't be excellent at everything. They're trying to be excellent on offense and be not terrible on defense. They're trying to just not be terrible. Coming up, the Giants have a lot of question marks, but Jaxson Dart has the look makings of a star. I think I'm going to be a Jaxson Dart guy. Is that okay?
Nah, stay with Herbert. You're doing fine.
I gotta have a lot of guys.
Stay there.
Jaxson Dart, he's got a cool name. He went 4-8 in his rookie campaign, showed some flashes of brilliance. Also, looked like a rookie at times. Threw 15 touchdowns, did it mostly without the aforementioned Malik Neighbors, who missed 75% of the season with that knee injury. Here's Jaxson Dart on what it means to have Neighbors back. Take a listen.
Well, he definitely has a presence about him. There's an aura that he has on the field that is exhilarating, makes me happy, makes everybody happy just to see him out there. And I think for him, he's had a lot of positives. So we're just going to continue to get him in slowly. And he's doing a great job with how he's attacking his recovery. So, I got all the confidence in the world in him.
I thought it was nice of a guy with aura to compliment someone else's. I'm just taking this one first. I'm a believer in Jaxson Dart. Hey, the guy's a playmaker. He had some lows, no doubt, but he's going through a coaching change. He lost his number one wide receiver. There were a ton of problems, there seem to always be, with offensive line injuries, which they've made some investments on this offseason. But I do, guilty as charged, I do tend to focus a little bit more on ceiling. Like, what is your best? Like, if your best is good enough, do it with Herbert, do it with Caleb, do it with Josh Allen. I have a type. But Jaxson Dart's best, that guy's a playmaker. He played 12 games last year. Look at the number of games with multiple touchdowns. We put this up and compare it. Multi-touchdown games by a rookie quarterback in your last 5 years. He had 10 of them in only 12 starts. He puts the ball in the end zone. Is it conventional? Not always. Is he putting himself in harm's way? Sometimes. But things were falling apart around him, and he was still finding a way to score against good teams. Like, some of these highlights, Eagles defense, Broncos defense, like, that guy can play, man. I really do think there's a high ceiling there, Coach, for Jaxson Dart.
There were a lot of encouraging things that he did, but to your point about Tua yesterday, where you're worried about his durability and whether or not he'd be able to make it through the season, I think one of the things that helps him be successful is he does have a lot of bravado. And he's talked about, I'm not going to change the way I play, but he's got to realize as the starting quarterback, this is a different league than what he's been used to. And if you keep putting yourself in harm's way, it's just a matter of time before you're sitting out and you can't do what the team needs you to do. And that to me is going to be a big learning curve. You love the exciting plays, but you don't want them at the cost of him not being able to participate. If you compare him to the number one overall draft pick last year, so him versus Cam Ward, similar records. He did a little bit better record-wise. Completion percentage was better, 24 touchdowns, better passer rating. So as a Giants fan, looking at these two your number one quarterback or number one drafted quarterbacks, it's encouraging. It's got to be encouraging for them.
Well, I respect the young man because he's a quarterback that obviously loves to improvise, but he takes care of the football. He only had 5 interceptions last year, right? So, which is a plus. And I think now moving forward, it's about him being more of a polished quarterback, right? There's some reports that he's doing a lot more things under center, which he's going to have to clean up his footwork, clean up his mechanics, which will show, one, that he's not all improvised guy. He's not that guy who's like, man, well, no. If Valley, he may have that in his bag, but it's like, I don't have to lean on that. Can I control an offense from within the pocket? He's going to have to prove that. But I think having Malik Neighbors, having Isaiah Likely, having a new offensive line, having OBJ out there, some of these pieces, all these kind of bumpers around him is going to help him elevate his game. So I'm happy with who he is thus far. Now you just got to go win and show that everything they want to do from an offense standpoint can be consistent with how they left last season.
I'm just buying stock in him. Like, it might be a little too much too soon. Like, you normally have to play in a system for a couple of years, right? It's like back to the Caleb thing. Like, I think he'll take the leap in year 3 in the NFL, year 2 with Ben Johnson. So we might still be a year away. I did it yesterday on the show, Willie. You weren't here. Like, there might be more question marks about the Giants than any team in the NFL. Like, how do they recover from Lawrence coming back, Scadaboo's injury, Neighbors' injury? Yeah. Is Jaxson Dart good? New coach in John Harbaugh, new pieces on the offensive line, cornerback battles in camp, tons of question marks, but potential answers. They've got a potential answer. So if a few things break their way with this kid's talent, I I think that he has a very, very high ceiling.
But the Giants, they feel like they got their head coach and they got their quarterback. Now it's time to build up. And I think
I don't know that everybody agrees that they have their quarterback, though. I feel like Jaxson Dart, like people are, because of the recklessness, because of the
yeah,
injuries.
But we could agree after the big hit against New England on the sideline that he's calmed down.
I agree. I think it's overblown.
Yeah, I don't think he was bullish. I'm like, no, this is the way I play. It is what it is. I think he realized, like, the health of me playing the position and being on the field matters more to me trying to get that one more yard, me, put my head down and causing the injury.
And what do you guys think about my theory that his name suggests that he's going to be good? Jaxson Dart's a cool name.
I think Willie's a cool name. And
yeah, you were good. And you got a ring on your
My answer to you was Tom Brady, not as cool a name, but I'd take that all day.
I'm not saying it's everything, but I'm saying it's got a Bart Starr, Drew Brees-like quality to it. It's a cool quarterback name.
Yeah, it's good in lights. Yeah, I would put it up on a billboard. Yeah, billboard.
Right?
Sure, for sure.
Thank you. That's Captain No Fun over there. Coming up on First Things First.
That's my role.
We're going camping. We're bringing Grandpa
role.
camping.
I know my role.
First Things First. Jaxson Dart. Live from New York, it's the show that is 100% aligned and has zero entitlement. Shout out Jalen Hurts. It is First Things First. Coming up, we got back-to-back Coach of the Year and National Champion Curt Cignetti joining us live from Big Ten Media Day in just a little bit. And Max Crosby is still a Raider. He says he's all in to be a Raider. But Jerry Jones kept getting asked about him. So should the Cowboys go all in and trade for Max Crosby? But right now, we're going camping. Just under 6 weeks away, tick, 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 from opening night of the NFL season. So we're going to go city to city and break down the biggest storylines as we gear up for the new year. First, let's take a trip to the Bay. The 49ers coming off a frankly surprising 12-5 season, given that Brock Purdy only played 9 games. Shout out to Mac Jones. Look at their notable offseason additions, obviously headlined by Mike Evans joining the fold. Finally worked out that new deal with Trent Williams. But I looked at the roster. Everyone talks about Seattle, champs. Everyone talks about the Rams, obviously. So the Niners are third, but their roster is littered with names that we know. My storyline is, does the old core have one last ride? Shanahan will have them be competitive. Purdy is good. Love the Mike Evans addition. But they, more than any team in the NFL, are going to hit their ceiling, are going to rely on star players who are old staying healthy. And that's just generally speaking a bad recipe or formula. If we put up the names that I'm talking about, it is fairly overwhelming. Like Trent Williams is maybe the best left tackle of my lifetime watching football. Sure. George Kittle is obviously spectacular. Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey, who was healthy but historically hasn't been, and Fred Warner, all on the wrong side of 30. Three of those 5 players missed 6 or more games last year. Can you back a team, Coach, that has this many of their best players that injury prone and that old?
Yeah, so they're the second oldest roster in the NFL next to Washington, and ability-wise, that they could make a run, no question about it. Durability-wise, I don't think it's going to happen, and there's been a problem in San Francisco for quite a while in terms of durability. And if we pull this up, last year they had the 3rd most misses by starters. Okay, so and look at ahead of Washington. So there's the older team, but more importantly, they've ranked in the top 3 in each of the last 4 seasons. That to me,
top 10.
Top 10 in 3 of the last 4. So it's not a one-off. It's been pretty consistent, and the older you get, the more and more likely it is to continue along that path.
Yeah, like even with the addition of Mike Evans is considered an old receiver, right?
I mean, he was on the graphic, and he was hurt.
And so when you talk about what they need to do from an offensive standpoint, is obviously the ball continues to go through CMC, but they're going to have to find out ways how to pepper it around outside of CMC and Mike Evans. Now, who's going to step up? Obviously, hopefully George Kittle will be back, coming off the Achilles. But I think one of the biggest additions that they were able to kind of make hay with and bring back was Trent Williams. Trent Williams is a monster. He's so beneficial to that run game and his ability to lead in that locker room. So I think everything that's we just said, like it comes down to the health, not talent. We know they got the talent, but I think they still have more. They still got some time to make a run.
It's a stars aligning type of thing, right? Like there's a version of this season where the Niners are the Super Bowl champions. Like, I do think you have to put like in that bucket of teams that can do it.
Yep.
But
there's a version where they missed the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Easily missed the playoffs.
You're right. Just the wrong couple of guys get hurt, and it's not. Listen, you could say that about any team in the NFL. That's not revolutionary analysis. But when you are relying on this number of players who are injury prone at that age, it feels more likely with them than
But
others.
they've been here before. That's why keeping Mac Jones was huge in the offseason, too. Like paying him, keeping him steady.
Yeah, they can hold the fort if Brock Purdy misses 4 weeks. They've proven that. But the question is, like, all of those guys, are they going to be productive for an entire season?
And even with the volume of injuries they had last year, they overachieved. When you think of the amount of star power that missed games over and over again. And the fact
Kyle
that,
Shanahan, right? I mean, Kyle Shanahan teams have a very high floor.
Yeah.
Right? If he is your coach, you are going to be in a lot of games and going to be competitive.
And if the group stays healthy, that even higher ceiling.
Right, it gives them the high ceiling. All right, let's stay in the division and go to Seattle, where the defending champs, cool 14-3 last season, had a breakout year from Sam Darnold. The notable additions and just moves, really. Fortunate to keep Rashid Shaheed. Obviously gave JSN the money. Lost Kenneth Walker. Drafted Price out of Notre Dame. Lost Kobe Bryant, the safety to the Bears. Lost Kubiak, to be the head coach of the Raiders. And that's my top storyline for them. How big of a loss is Clint Kubiak? We won't know. We can assume it matters, but it's a really remarkable amount of continuity for a Super Bowl champion. Losing a running back, a safety, and one coordinator. It's not that much to lose. But just 1 second. You're all good. Like, when I put up what their offense jumped to from last year to the year before, 2024 to 2025, because Kubiak was just there for 2025, you could look at that and say Kubiak made all the difference, or you could say Sam Darnold made all the difference. Like, I genuinely don't know how much of a backslide I'm expecting the Seattle offense to have until we see it. But to me, that is, if Kubiak didn't matter that much, like, or if he matters more to the Raiders as an addition than a loss to Seattle, then they're going to be fine. Or it could be a huge loss.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Coach said earlier in the week. When you're a new OC stepping into a new role, you got to adjust to the players in the scheme that's already before you, instead of you trying to just dump what you do best or what you know on a group of guys. If you're Brian Fleury, the new OC for the Seahawks, there's already a system in place on how these guys operate and what got you to win a Super Bowl. Don't come in there and try to reinvent the wheel. Hopefully you can do that. Like, I remember my time as a Steeler, when I had Bruce Arians, BA ran it a certain type of way. He knew what our bread and butters were. And then when we had Todd Haley said, okay, if that's what y'all do, this is what we do, right? And he kind of just went along, and he obviously added some things and adjusted some things along the way.
And yelled at people.
He did. But I'm telling you, from a system standpoint, it didn't. We weren't challenged where we had to rethink things or kind of question things. Philosophy-wise, we were all brought in because he adjusted on the fly.
And Kubiak had been a coordinator before, so he'd been a coordinator in New Orleans, and then they had another stop prior to that, and in between he was a passing game coordinator, and it was a heavy emphasis. And when you lose an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, it can be a big deal. Yep. And when you bring in a guy that doesn't have any experience calling plays, he's going to have a learning curve, and that's just the way it is. And you have to work through that. Look at Detroit last year. They tried to transition offensive coordinators. It didn't go the way they wanted to. They had to make the change during the season. How disruptive that was to their whole offense. So as much as I believe they're going to stay with the Kubiak system, it's still how the guy calls plays, getting used to the players that he has, them respecting him. Remember, they won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And he wasn't part of that mix. So
how big of a loss? Like, they were the third scoring offense. They won the Super Bowl. Like, do you think their offense is going to take a huge step back? Because they bring back basically everybody except the running back.
Well, what I'm saying here, Danny, is you don't know how big of a loss is because you don't know how quickly the new coordinator is going to transition and how comfortable. What is he going to be as a play caller? That's a big unknown.
Sure.
And then it's also the players responding to him. And what kind of benefit of the doubt will they give him if it's not going well? We've seen it in Philadelphia where they transition offensive coordinators. Doesn't go really well. So it's an unknown.
Yeah.
I like the idea they're keeping the system, but it's unknown.
And think about it quickly, because I know we got
to
to transition, but think about how the Seahawks ate last year off. It was their ability to run the ball between the 20s is how they were effective, right? Like that may change if Fleury feels differently. So we'll see.
All right, let's go in the RV here, stay again in the NFC West, and go down to Hollywood, where the Rams had a 12-5 season. Of course, lost in the NFC Championship game to the aforementioned Seahawks in that classic, in the NFC title game. If you look at the Rams offseason, I mean, they were busy. Basically a whole new secondary. They added Myles Garrett, and then they used their first-round pick on a player who they hope will not play. But again, they added Myles Garrett. They still could have Aaron Donald still to come. So my biggest storyline for the Rams is, do they have enough depth behind the stars? They deserve to be the favorite. I get it. It is a spectacular preseason roster. It is also very top-heavy. Because Davante Adams is in his mid-30s. Matt Stafford's in his late 30s. We'll see who they end up paying among like Byron Young and Puka Nacua and like which guys they ultimately have to keep versus pay and all that. That's a story for the future. But normally, you have depth with draft picks, with young, cheap talent. Les Snead, famously, F them picks. I've never seen anything like this. Coach, you've been around the league for forever. Look at this. Last 10 years, that's their first-round picks. 8 of the 10 years, nothing. Jared Verse, they traded him away. Ty Simpson, they hope he doesn't play. So there's not a first-round pick that they used on the roster who can be reinforcements for the guys at the top. It's an incredible roster, but it's also top-heavy and older. I don't know if there's enough depth there if they have the wrong injury or two.
But what they've done is they've shown that they can make that formula work. And
no question.
And when they haven't had the first-round draft picks, they have done a good job in the later rounds, farming guys and finding guys, which a lot of teams don't do very well. So they've taken a radically different approach than most teams in terms of trading for established talent, giving away young guys and cheap guys, and they found a way to make it work. So to your point, if there's a team that's going to continue to be able to make this work, it's them because they know how to do it.
Yeah, it's a legit concern for me because this is why Rams fans were throwing their remote when they drafted Ty Simpson, because they realized later in the season, you know who was one of the key factors that was out? Davante Adams, who happens to be 36 years old, when they could have drafted Mekhi Lemon at that position and say, all right, if Davante happens to get hurt again, at least we got the young fella in the wings that can fill that void. So, yeah, it's a cause for concern. At the end of the day, as long as you got that man healthy, Matthew Stafford, you got a shot, baby.
Right, and I don't love the analysis of like, well, if they get hurt, they're in trouble, and if they're healthy, they're going to be great. Because you can say that with a huge percentage of NFL teams. But for a 38-year-old quarterback in Matt Stafford, it probably is an even bigger piece of it. And I will say, I was very critical of the Ty Simpson pick when it happened, thinking the exact same thing that you did, reinforce it with a player who can help get Stafford another one. Once they were able to go out and get Myles Garrett, I actually thought it made more sense. So they're like, we can acquire Myles Garrett to be like our all-in piece for this team. And so we don't think we're going to be drafting in the top 15 for a while. So we will draft our – now you could debate whether or not Ty Simpson's an elite quarterback talent, but clearly McVay liked him, Les Snead liked him. We're going to get our heir apparent to Stafford. We don't plan to be drafting this high. So that was the ultimate move for the future.
And they're also in a great position because there is no pressure, and there will be no pressure from the fan base to play him, which is radically different than any other first-round draft pick for a quarterback. Then no one's going to be saying, put him in ahead of Stafford. And if Stafford does get hurt later in the season, which there's a chance that could happen, obviously, at least he's had a bunch of time to learn and grow, like we say other first-round draft picks should have, and he's got a great mentor to guide him while he's there.
Well, I'll say this, Ty Simpson better show something in the preseason, because if he stinks, it's going to be trouble.
It was one of the more scrutinized first-round picks we've seen in a while. Final stop today, as First Things First goes camping. We go all the way back east here to New England, where the Patriots also went 14-3 last season, of course, got blown out in the Super Bowl. Ultimately, we had to blow up the door of destiny. I did give Wilds the door handle, though. I don't know if he cherished that as a present. Their moves this offseason, you might have heard about it. They added A.J. Brown, signed Romeo Doubs. Stephon Diggs is gone. Elijah Vera Tucker, given a little bit of reinforcement for their offensive line to protect Drake May. Still some serious questions on the left side, hoping for Will Campbell to be healthy this year. My biggest camp storyline for the Patriots was more quarterback-centered of how does Drake May follow it up? I know you've talked a lot, Coach, about how he's a young player. He's a part of this historic quarterback class. He's in the Super Bowl in year 2. He's the runner-up for MVP in year 2. I think Drake May is awesome. And I thought the most impressive thing that he did last year was he clearly elevated talent around him. Like, Stephon Diggs is good, but he's not a top 5 receiver in football at this stage. Booty, the same thing. He had huge problems on the left side of his offensive line. And so if you go from what they had in weapons last year to weapons this year, and there's more continuity and it's his 3rd year in the league, I just looked at what Drake May was able to do last year, just to remind people. That's where he was targeting Stephon Diggs. Absolutely spectacular.
Right.
So if you replace those targets with a guy who's better than Stephon Diggs, why would, if we just throw up his numbers from last year to remind people about what it looked like for the runner-up MVP in year 2, why can't those numbers stay the same or get even better if he now has Dobbs and A.J. Brown instead of Stephon Diggs?
Because he's going to demand more attention. I think
Drake May will?
Drake May, yeah. I think the defense right now will not only focus on him, we'll evaluate what he can't do well, and they're going to exploit it. I think the competition will be harder. You know, it's going to be a different schedule. I think they're going to play better teams.
Schedule's tough.
And I think right now, his biggest thing is he has to prove that his play is the standard, the new standard, and that's something that just he popped off the tape because of a lesser schedule, and he's come together. I just think right now Drake may go through a little regression, but it's okay. I think he's no longer a secret. I think people respect he's a new age quarterback.
This is the Caleb Williams discussion, where now he's in year 2 of this system, where last year both those guys were just learning the terminology, how the plays worked, the huddle, all the things that go into learning a new offense. And this offseason, in this training camp, he has a chance to really build on those things. So you should see significant progress. And I think Josh McDaniels does a great job of nuancing offensive plays. But Josh worked on defense for 2 years. He was with me in the secondary. So he really understands defense, and he teaches that to the quarterbacks. So that, to me, is a significant edge. To your point, though, Willie, the level of competition is going to be much greater.
Yep.
The amount of figuring out what beats him, the time spent on that by defense coordinators is so much more significant. So they're going to force him to do what he does poorly a lot, and we're going to see whether or not he can overcome that.
Aren't they clearly a better team on paper, though? I think what you're saying obviously makes sense. It's a tougher schedule. They're not going to take anybody by surprise. That is objectively true. But they've added talent. There are more additions than subtractions, and the additions are
A.J. Brown.
And that's a top 10 receiver, and Romeo Dobbs, who is a quarterback's best friend in the red zone. That is. Those are real X's and O's on the field reasons that you should be better, as opposed to teams aren't going to overlook you.
But they had really good chemistry, or it seemed like they had really good chemistry as a team.
They did.
And the question is, when you bring in new guys, and you bring in talented guys, and you bring guys with big expectations, how does that chemistry work?
Well, speaking of big expectations, it's been 30 years, you might have heard, since the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Jerry Jones has asked a lot of questions about trading for Max Crosby. He didn't comment because it's tampering, but only kind of. It's next on First Things First. Saturday night, baseball night in America, and this week 2 iconic clubs shine under the lights in primetime. Ben Rice and the Yankees face, I'm going to editorialize for a second. He should be the MVP of the National League, Pete Crow Armstrong, and the Cubs. Not biased. Saturday, 7 Eastern on Fox. We call him the real deal around here. Back here with Coach and Willie talking Max Crosby, the all-pro defensive end. You might have heard he was traded to the Ravens this offseason. And he wasn't, because Baltimore said something. It was very convoluted. But Crosby thinks that everything that happened this offseason, with all the drama, is actually going to motivate him to be even better this year. Take a listen.
I love this game, and I heard all the noise and all those things, but everyone knows my back's against the wall. That's when I'm at my best. I love the pressure. That's what I live and thrive on. So it just added points and gives me a little bit more reason to go out there and whoop.
That is an intimidating individual. Willie, he is currently a Raider. Should teams be still trying to get Max Crosby, hypothetically, the Dallas Cowboys?
I was stuck looking at his tattoos. Didn't it look like a bad acid trip? it was just like so much going on there. Was nobody caught up in that?
I said he was intimidating. Bad acid trip, good acid trip. You know,
Yeah.
What's the difference? Go
My
ahead.
bad. I digress.
No, you're good. I mean, listen, it's an intimidating man.
I think if you're the Cowboys, if you're the Bills, if you're the Bears, if you're the Bengals, you're offering 2 first-round picks and an opportunity to go get Max Crosby. Oof. That's the bottom line. I mean, this guy with 10 sacks last season, 28 losses, 28 tackles for loss, and supposedly an injury-plagued season can still produce for you. Like, he's the finished product you want if you feel like you're a championship contender. So go get him. I think the fact that he's willing to go back in that building and make amends after how they treated him and so on and so forth, I think shows you the type of caliber that, like, his love for the game is real. So I love the guy. I've loved him for a long time. I think if it's up to him, I would go to the front office like, man, I want to go win. If this is a real thing, send me somewhere where I can go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd be curious whether they would be open to trading him at this point after they've had a chance to really spend some time with him and experience what his personality is like and the way he is with his teammates, his motor. He's got so many intangibles that you like. Yeah. On top of all the good things that he's done statistically.
You mean the new coaching staff?
I'm saying the new coaching staff, because it's a little bit different when you haven't seen a guy, you haven't dealt with a guy. Maybe easier to part ways, even if he's a good player. But now they've seen him start working. They've gotten to know him. They're appreciating his intensity. But let's look at these are averages over 16 or 17 games. He played a long time. 10, almost 11 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 25 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles, and he's played in 110 out of 117 games. Yeah. He started 110 out of 117 games, and 2 of those 5 misses or 7 misses were because of coaching decision, not because he couldn't play.
Right. He wanted to play after that. It was a meniscus at the end of the. He wanted to play.
They held him back, so it's not like he couldn't have played.
Yeah, he doesn't tap.
Now, he's had a bunch of surgeries. Mm-hmm. He failed another team's physical. Who knows whether you could make a trade work or whether he's going to go somewhere else and fail a physical. Whether he fails it or not, he usually is going to show up and play on Sunday, regardless of.
So I balked at 2 firsts. I think if there was an offer for 2 firsts on the table after what happened in Baltimore, I think he would be gone. Because that's what they were willing to give up. Right. And then all of a sudden he was available again. And it was weird for a little while. And then they were all like, okay, no, we're all going to be happy. My guess is in that time when it was weird for a while, they were waiting for someone else to call and match what the Ravens were willing to do. Like, I know the Bears called. Like, I know the Bears were interested. I don't think that they were willing to meet Baltimore's price. Like, I think Dallas was pretty clearly interested. I don't think they were willing to meet Baltimore's price. My gut on this tells me, because I said at the time that Crosby wasn't going to play another game for the Raiders. Now I just will say, I don't think he finishes the season for the Raiders. I wonder if it ends up. Fair. I wonder if because I would imagine, Coach, like you can trade for a defensive end and they can make an adjustment in season more easily than an offensive player, timing, certainly a quarterback, something like that. I would think it's like, let me see if he's healthy. Like, go out and play the first 4 weeks, the first 6 weeks. Look good. Raiders are struggling. He's 28 years old. He's not on Mendoza's timeline. Right. And then someone re-engages the Raiders and says, hey, we'll give you a first-round pick this year in order for him to come over and help us win this Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen, I think, honestly, once again, if you're the Bills, if you're one of those teams like man, we're just one guy. We one guy away from closing things out when we really need a big stop. You seriously think about Max Crosby, and you make it work, hella high water, because of his production, his age, his willingness to play. You know he's a leader in the locker room. And by that press conference alone with his shirt off, man wants to do nothing but play football. Like he doesn't want
that sold you?
Yeah, I mean, because he's not worried about optics, right? He's passionate about what he does, and he wants to do it for a long time. And you got a guy that's willing to play through, hella high water.
Let's talk Eagles and Jalen Hurts. As he is back on the practice field, which means he's also, of course, as the quarterback of the team, back in front of the media, dropping quotes that could be sewn into a throat. Take a listen.
It starts from Coach Sirianni, and his message in his first words in yesterday's team meeting was about being together and being aligned. And when I was taking notes of it, I just, thought about 100% alignment and zero entitlement. And so as a team, that's what everybody's pushing.
Coach, more likely the Eagles take a step forward or step back from last year? He
wins the press conference all the time.
You love that, don't you?
Oh, my God. That That is
100% alignment, zero entitlement.
Absolutely perfect message, and it's also it probably harkens back to what happened last year, and he's giving us all a very clear indication of what was missing last year, and that's the problem. If it's too hard to win in the NFL when everybody's pushing in the same direction, it's almost impossible when guys are pushing against each other. It just the margin for error is too small. So if you can have 100% alignment and zero entitlement, you got a chance to push much further than they pushed last year.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this because I think part of it, I feel like they're going to take a step backward. I think part of that is because I just don't know what the Eagles do well from an offensive standpoint. I think last year we constantly questioned their identity, whether it's because the offensive line was banged up and they couldn't run the ball, or because him and AJ was having issues. I just don't know what that offense looks like. So going into this season, I just don't know what to expect, especially when you do have a new offensive coordinator. I'm trying to say, all right, who are the Eagles, right? Obviously, they want that old thing back where they was running the ball at a high and Saquon was doing everything. I'm struggling offensively to see what should we expect and what should we be excited about.
I don't know, man. It's a really talented roster.
Yeah. Can you honestly say what do the Eagles do well?
Well, listen, I think to your point, if the Eagles' offensive line is healthy, like the last time we saw them be healthy, it was one of the best running teams in the history of the league with Saquon Barkley 2 years ago.
Yeah, but Saquon, outside of being able to run between the tackles, he was there to be an impact guy on third down. He wasn't that last year, right?
No, I mean, last year, I think, to Coach's point, it was not quite 100% engagement with a little bit of entitlement.
Sure.
And your offensive line was really hurt. And Jalen Hurts didn't play well. So, listen, I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts believer. That's pretty well documented here. But the rest of the team is just loaded with stars. Mitchell, DeJean, Bond, Carter, all on the defensive side of the ball. You got Dickerson and Jurgens and Mailata and Saquon and Devontae Smith and Goddard all on the offensive side. It is a loaded roster. All three levels of the defense, everywhere on offense. If the offensive line plays well and Jalen Hurts has more buy-in to go off of his quote, they'll probably be really good.
Yeah, there's not many teams that they're going to play where they're just going to be outmatched from a talent perspective.
Almost none.
And then it's a question of how well they do come together. And with Saquon, it was an off year, but he's one of the most talented backs in the NFL, and he could easily pop off again this season. They knew they were moving on from A.J. Brown, so they did a good job of trying to go get candidates to fill that void. And maybe now, if it's not about fighting what the game plan is going to be, or who's going to get the ball, or how much we should pass versus how much we should run, and they're just focused on how can we beat this defense on this play, could see a lot of really positive things offensively.
I like the talent a lot. I do think it's a little bit of blaming the messenger here on A.J. Brown, because I think he spoke a lot of truths of what people thought in that locker room, and I thought he was really good. It sounds like you're a believer in addition by subtraction.
Yeah, I've experienced addition by subtraction plenty of times, and look, if a guy's been to multiple teams and you're extremely talented, sometimes it's not always the team's fault.
Drop Mike.
Drop Mike?
Drop Mike.
I mean, I don't know. I'll take A.J. Brown. I'll take 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and a guy reading the book on the sideline. Coach is probably right.
Coach is probably
right. Coach is probably right. He's like, I've experienced this before. I'm like, I don't know. I like the guy who catches the rock.
He is incredibly talented.
He is incredibly talented. All right, coming up, really looking forward to having the national champion head coach Curt Cignetti join us for Big Ten Media Days coming up on First Things First. Back here on First Things First, talking a little college football. No one better to do it with than the champ. The Indiana Hoosiers shocked the nation, went a perfect 16-0 last season en route to a national championship. So joining us now, back-to-back Coach of the Year from Big Ten Media Day, Curt Cignetti with us from Chicago. Coach, thank you so much for the time. But I have to admit, I was a little jealous that we're getting you after that press conference. You're going viral all over the place. The quotes are amazing. Can I share the quote that you shared that I related to most? You said, "I'm tired of being bossed around by my wife. I'm ready to boss somebody else around and develop a football team." How does your wife boss you around, Coach? Would you like me to start?
I guess that's why she texted that I lost my ride home from the airport.
So she didn't think it was as funny as I did?
She's the boss of the house.
Yeah. Mine too.
I think she probably got a lot of humor out of that.
That's good. What about this one?
Time to go.
Okay. We don't have bad apples. Coach Cignetti takes care of the bad apples. How do you take care of them, Coach?
We only have good apples. No bad apples. Bad apples can spoil the whole bunch.
All right, I've heard that one. And then this one I actually did really like, and we could expand on it a little bit. You said, we don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. When we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry river, whine, and complain, and that's why we're the best. I honestly don't even understand the argument for SEC over Big Ten when you guys have won 3 straight national championships. What is the argument at this point?
We're just having a little fun there on Media Day. SEC is a great league with a lot of great coaches and players, a lot of respect for them. There's a healthy competition between the two conferences. And I think the numbers pretty much state the facts over the last 3 to 4 years.
It can be all fun and games at Media Day. I understand that. But I do wonder, there is some pride, no, in terms of, you go through the Big Ten and you feel like you are as prepared, if not more prepared than anybody because of the gauntlet that you have to get through.
Oh, there's no question. There are great programs and coaches and players in the Big Ten Conference. And that's why, the Big Ten Conference has won the last 3 national championships and 8-2 versus the one down south in bowls and, 11 playoff appearances to 5. On and on and on. 4-0 head-to-head the last 4. But, it's all good-natured rival. I got a lot of respect. It's a great league. We just happen to be the best.
Yeah, the one down south. It's just good fun. I like it. You talk about the respect that you have for them down south, but also your fellow coaches in the Big Ten. I'm curious what it's been like for you as the back-to-back coach of the year out of this conference, the national championship. You have all of this adoration coming your way, which is totally deserved. I saw PJ Fleck compare you to Babe Ruth in that you called your shot. What has it been like to you, and I would imagine gratifying, to get that type of praise from your fellow coaches?
To get that kind of praise from your colleagues, that means a lot, and kind of a reward for your sacrifice, dedication, commitment, and hard work. Those are coaches I really respect. Him and Brett Bielema, both are real guys that do a great job with their programs as well. But, in this business and any venture, success, fame, very temporary thing, can change real fast. The next week they're hanging you in effigy, the fans. So, we're getting ready to start a new season and excited to get going. We got a lot of work to do in fall camp.
How do you get that message across? Every team is new. A lot of these guys weren't really big participants in that national championship team. I've heard coaches say there's no momentum from one year to the next. How do you turn the page after a 16-0 national championship season?
You just turn the page, and I turned it the next day, and I think our guys, our returners, have done a good job, and I know our coaches have, and that's one of our strengths is the coaching continuity. My coordinators have been with me 12, 13 years each, and I got a lot of other guys been with me a long time, so we're on the same page. We got a blueprint, a plan, a process. We think alike. The key to the drill after we develop players and identify roles and sort of develop the mindset and identity of the team is then to develop the intangibles, and that's a big part of my job. And handling how do you handle success and setbacks. So the marathon is not a sprint, or the season's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And, we're not going to really talk about the national championship. It's over. The fact of the matter is everybody's 0-0, and, we got to develop each and every guy in the program and identify roles and get them to play the way we want them to play, and that's why we get paid.
Did you really turn the page for the next day? You allowed yourself one day?
Shoot, I'm not sure I had a whole day. We won the game, got to the hotel, went up to President Witten's room and celebrated a little bit, went to bed and had a 8 a.m. national interview the next morning, and then flew back to Bloomington and you know, when you play till January 19th or 29th, whenever it was, you're 4 or 5 weeks behind on everything. So there's a lot of work.
I think your fans celebrated more than a day. I will say that, but I guess that's kind of the spoils of being the coach, like you said, and getting paid. You mentioned the fame. I wanted to run something by you. I grew up playing the NCAA college football video game. I'm curious, I understand you said fame is fleeting. Did you ever think that you would be on the cover of this iconic game? You nailed the pose, by the way. Can you evaluate the pose? Have your players, gotten a kick out of this? What was this experience like for you?
I really haven't talked to our players about it. They came to me, and we did it. I thought it'd be good for recruiting. I think I'm the first coach to ever be on the cover. I don't know. I've never played the game. I hear it's a great game. Pretty cool. And the pace car for the Indy 500 was pretty cool, too. Glad I did it. Glad I did the EA Sports thing. It's good for the program.
Has it been good for recruiting? Help you? Have you seen dividends from it?
I think there's brand identification, and we really finished strong. We're off to a good start, and time will tell.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about your sideline demeanor and presence. It's, everyone has an opinion on it. I was reading quotes. You one time said, it doesn't look like I'm having a lot of fun down there. What do you find fun? I'd imagine you find fun in it, even if you're not outwardly showing it.
Yeah, I like going in the locker room after a win and celebrating, having a beer after the game, spending time with my family afterwards. There's a method to the madness, trust me. Just like the first year when I made some outrageous comments, was out on a limb. There was a method to that madness, too. If you're going to ask your team to play 1 to 160, the same, nothing game on the line, the way you want them to play, then circumstances of the game can't affect that. And that's how I coach.
I know you don't want to give away trade secrets, but you said a method to the madness. I would imagine that younger coaches are hitting you up asking for your advice. I would imagine the speaking circuit at Fortune 500 companies would say, hey, coach, come teach my sales team how to be a leader, all those sort of things. If you could condense it and boil it down, you mentioned the method to the madness. What is Coach Cignetti, back-to-back Coach of the Year? What is your leadership philosophy?
Structured, organized, keep the main thing, keep your nose to the grindstone, work smart.
It's that simple?
Pardon me?
I said it's that simple?
Yeah, and you got to have a little killer instinct, too, and you got to be willing to take some chances.
I feel like you've maybe done a few of those things. You got that killer instinct. Last one for you. We don't know Fernando Mendoza personally, but we're talking about the NFL every day. It was just announced that he's going to, not be the starter at the beginning of training camp. I'm wondering what you think the value in that is for him. I imagine you're still in touch with him as you're kind of watching his transition to the NFL from afar.
Yeah, I really just heard that from you. So the Raiders know what they're doing. He's in good hands.
All right, well, Coach, good luck this year. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for taking the time, and we'll talk to you again down the line. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, have a good one.
That's Coach Cignetti here on First Things First.